Merry Christmas, everybody! You may have realized that despite all my videos in preparation for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I have not made a single video about them since their release on November 19th, 2021. That's not to say I haven't been enjoying them, however, as I got them on release date, finished my casual playthrough, and I'm currently doing a Nuzlocke of the games. But today I'm going to go in-depth into Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, which was my choice over Shining Pearl, and give a full review of the game based off of gameplay, Pokemon, music, changes to the original games, and more. Hey guys, this is Gaming Nate, and today I'll be giving my review of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. My first thing to talk about today is the story. Many people are in agreement that Generation 4 is the best story out of the Pokemon games. While I don't particularly agree, I also don't disagree. Literally recreating the entire world was a very good plot for any game, even besides Pokemon. This story was so good that they did a similar idea in Pokemon X and Y, where instead of recreating the world, Team Flare wanted to kill all humans and Pokemon, only letting members of Team Flare survive. One big difference, however, is that Team Galactic had no problems keeping Pokemon alive. Even though this story is very good, I have to say I like X and Y's story slightly more. Overall, these games have my second favorite stories of the series. I'm glad they had an actual evil team this time, as Team Yell for Pokemon Sword and Shield weren't that evil. Unfortunately, besides the Team Galactic plot and legendary and mythical Pokemon, there isn't much plot in this game. That doesn't hurt it too much, however, since that is the case for most Pokemon games. These next two topics will be very short, but I figured they're just important enough to mention. Right now I'll be talking about this game's online compatibility. Go downstairs in any Pokemon Center and you will enter the Union Room, which I like to call the Onion Room for literally no reason. Here you can do different types of trading and battling, the same stuff as you can do in any other Pokemon game. There are also more online things you can do in the Grand Underground, but I will talk about that more later. These online functions aren't anything notable, as they're in every Pokemon game, but I still figured I'd mention them. Next up is the Pokemon Contest, which I'm only giving its own section because there's nowhere else to put it. So the contests are basically a rhythm game, but a little more complicated. On top of the rhythm game, where you just press, hold, and release A at the right times, you also have a contest move, which will give you more enjoyment from the viewers, giving you more points. Your custom Pokeball design also matters, but I'll get more into that later. This mode honestly kind of reminds me of Rhythm Recital from Mario Party Star Rush. If you know, you know. Now we're getting into the more lengthy sections. This section is about the gym leaders, Elite Four, and the champion of the Sinnoh region. As I'm sure you know, everyone I just mentioned besides the champion mainly uses single type. I'll go over all these people now. First up is Rourke, which uses rock types and is basically the same as Brock or Roxanne from earlier games in the series. Next up is Gardenia, which uses grass types as well as both Turtwig and Roserade, both being Pokemon I like. Maylene uses fighting types as well as Lucario, which is one of the most popular Pokemon in general. Next up is Crasher Wake, or just Wake, which uses water types as well as a Floatzel, which I used on my Brilliant Diamond team. Now we have Fantina, the ghost type user, which uses Mismagius, which is a very underrated Pokemon in my opinion. Next up is Brian, which uses steel types, but he unfortunately has no Pokemon that I find to be cool, similar to Rourke. The 7th gym leader is Candice, which uses ice types, but none worth mentioning in my opinion. Last but certainly not least, we have Volkner, which uses electric types, and one of my favorite Generation 4 Pokemon being Luxray. Starting off with the Elite Four members, we have Aaron, which uses bug-type Pokemon, and a Drapion, which actually isn't a bug-type, but is still really cool. Next up is Bertha, which uses my least favorite type, being Ground, so it only makes sense that I don't love any of her Pokemon. Next up is Flint, which uses my favorite type, being Fire, but he only uses 2 Fire types. This isn't even his fault, because in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, you only have access to those 2 fire types before post games. He still is a very cool Pokemon, however, being Infernape. Last but not least, we have Lucian, being the Psychic type user, but unfortunately he doesn't have any great Pokemon in my opinion. The champion of the Sinnoh region is Cynthia, which uses a lot of great Pokemon such as Spiritomb, Roserade, Gastrodon, Lucario, and Garchomp. Sorry I didn't mention you, Milotic, you're great too. Wow, that was a lot. Anyways, moving on. Before post game. Right. Next, I'm going to talk about all the new Pokemon in Generation 4 and in Diamond and Pearl. These technically aren't new to us anymore since we're on Generation 8 now, but Gen 4 is the recent generation for this game, so I'm counting it. Some of the most important Pokemon in every generation are the starters. Turtwig, Grotle, and Torterra are good in my opinion. I used to not like their design, but now I like them more because I'm using one in my Pokemon Sun Wonderlock. Chimchar, Monferno, and Infernape are my favorite starters in this generation, but I end up picking the fire starters for most of the time, so it's not really that surprising, and I beat my casual playthrough of Brilliant Diamond with it. Last but not least is Piplup, Prinplup, and Empoleon, which also have great designs in my opinion, and I am currently using them for my Nuzlocke of Brilliant Diamond. The other most important Pokemon are the box art legendaries. Dialga looks really cool and has the concept of being the god of time, which I really like. Palkia also looks cool, but instead of being the god of time, he's the god of space. Now I'm going to list my favorite Gen 4 Pokemon I haven't already mentioned. Staraptor, which is the regional bird of this generation. Kricketune, which has a hilarious cry, as we all know. Luxray, which is this generation's awesome electric type. Roserade, which is the great evolution of Roselia. Floatzel, which reminds me a lot of Plessy from Super Mario 3D World. Gastrodon, which just looks kind of cool in my opinion. Ambipom, which is a great evolution to Apom. Drifblim, which is based off of a blimp. Lopunny, which just looks cool and is a really cool early game Pokemon for Ultra Sun and Moon. Mismagius, who is a great evolution to Misdreavus and very underrated in my opinion. Honchkrow, which makes Murkrow actually cool. Spiritomb, which just looks really cool. Garchomp, which is this region's pseudo-legendary. Lucario, which is a very cool and iconic Pokemon that also made it into Smash Bros. Drapion, which somehow isn't a bug type but still looks really cool. Toxicroak, which looks very cool in my opinion. Lumineon, which is an underrated fish Pokemon in my opinion. Weavile, which is an awesome evolution to Sneasel. Magnezone, which is a great evolution to Magneton. Electivire, which is a great evolution to Electabuzz. Togekiss, which is way cooler than Togetic in my opinion. Leafeon and Glaceon, which are two more great evolutions. Lyscore, which is a great evolution to Gligar. Mamoswine, which is also a great evolution, this time to Pillow-Swine. Porygon Z, which also has an underrated evolution line in my opinion. Gallade, which is almost just as good as Gardevoir in my opinion. Frostlass, which is the better evolution to Snorunt in my opinion. Rotom, which is used for your Pokedex in recent generations. Giratina, which is a great third box art legendary. Cresselia, which looks really cool in my opinion. Darkrai, which has a really good design and is multiple people's favorite Pokemon. And last but not least, Arceus, which is literally God. Wow, that list was long. My least favorite Pokemon in this generation is probably Rhyperior, which is a horrible looking evolution to Rhydon, which was a great Pokemon. The next thing I want to talk about is the difficulty of these games. I'd argue the majority of this game isn't too hard, but it's also not too easy, unlike Pokemon X and Y. There's one massive difficulty spike, however, and that of course is the Pokemon League. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt though, because I prepared for the league way less than I should have. From my experience, I barely brought enough healing items to defeat the Elite Four and Champion, and I had 30 max potions and 30 full restores, I think. I also had like 20 revives or something like that. Keep in mind I'm an absolute noob and this was my casual playthrough, but still. Every time I felt like a Pokemon would be easy to kill, it usually wasn't. For example, with Flint's Infernape, I thought it would be an easy kill with my Floatzel. However, I was acting foolish because Infernape has learned Thunder Punch, which is super effective against both water and flying types, which are two of Infernape's weaknesses. Infernape destroyed my Floatzel in one hit, and because of this, Flint almost won the battle. And then there's of course Cynthia, which is known for being extremely hard, with me once again almost losing the battle, but I also didn't have an ice type on my team and only one somewhat weak ice type move on one of my Pokemon, so I don't know for sure if she really is that hard. Next up, I'm going to talk about the changes to the original Diamond and Pearl. Well, there are obviously a lot of small changes, like for example, you can ride your bike inside of gates, but I will only be mentioning the big ones. Arguably the most important change in the game is the change from the Underground, which was a small feature in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, to the Grand Underground, which includes a lot more features. In the Grand Underground, you can do the following things. Find Pokemon moving around similar to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee in Sword and Shield, each in their own unique environments. Create secret bases like in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Dig up items in a digging minigame, and a lot more. The Poketch now appears at the top right of the screen, but you can also choose to hide it entirely. HMs still exist, but no longer have to be taught to a Pokemon. Instead, they are a part of the Poketch, removing the annoyance of them. Fairy type, which was not yet a type in Generation 4, has been added. A fan favorite feature from Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and Sword and Shield is included, being that Pokemon can follow you in the overworld. Character customization, introduced in Pokemon X and Y, is in this game. In my opinion, it is flawed in this game, but I'll talk about that more another time. The improved experience share, where all Pokemon have it automatically, is in this game, whereas in the originals you can only give it to one Pokemon at a time. How effective your type is against another Pokemon in battle is shown, which is something that has been a feature since Sun and Moon, and it's really helpful to less skilled players. The HP bar doesn't take years to drain, unlike the originals. Seals from Heart Gold and Soul Silver return, now known as stickers. TMs are once again single use, but this time you can receive multiple of one TM. And last but not least, the National Dex is back. So everybody hating on Sword and Shield because it has no National Dex, shut up. That might have seemed like a lot, but really, compared to the first 3 Pokemon remakes, it isn't too many changes. There are some great changes, however. My next topic to mention is a very controversial topic, being this game's visuals. As some of you may know, despite how much Sword and Shield's graphics are hated on, I actually thought the graphics were some of the best Pokemon has to offer. So naturally, you might think I feel the same way as these graphics. But no, these graphics are bad and way too rushed. You can tell there's not very much work put into this game's graphics when there are literally so many examples of the character partly phasing through parts of buildings, staircases, etc. Not only are they rushed, but they don't even look that 3D. See, in Sword and Shield, the graphics were from third person. They were even a few parts in the game where you could move your camera around, which I really enjoy. Sure, the trees look similar to Zelda Ocarina of Time trees, but that's just a minor issue. In Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, however, these games are from either some sort of second-person view or a really weird third-person view, as they tried to make them look similar to the original's graphics, which made sense there because they couldn't make it a fully 3D game because it was DS. However, nowadays that isn't a problem, and we could easily make the graphics look the great third-person moving your camera around that Sword and Shield was. Overall, I'm honestly not impressed with these graphics at all. Last but not least, I want to talk about this game's music. Most of the songs in this game sound slightly better than their DS counterparts just because the Switch has better hardware. This game has amazing music, but that honestly isn't too surprising. Here's a challenge: name a single Pokemon game without an absolute banger soundtrack. That's right, you couldn't do it because it's impossible. Even Red and Blue on the original Game Boy have some bangers such as Lavender Town and Pallet Town. I really like the Gym Leader theme from this game. I also like the Route 201 theme, but that is one of the most iconic themes in the entire game, so everybody loves it. On top of that, I honestly can't think of a single town or city theme from this game I didn't like. In conclusion, this game is amazing music, but so is every other Pokemon game. So now it is time to give this game its final review. Do I recommend this game? If you have not played a Sinnoh game before, it is totally worth it. It is also worth it if you're a hardcore Pokemon fan, as it does have some new features, and the Grand Underground is really fun. But if neither of these things apply to you, I honestly do not think this game is worth it. The problem is, all the high points this game has are also in the original Diamond and Pearl. And Platinum, the third game for Sinnoh, honestly changes more about this game and is overall a better experience. Not only that, but Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl have to be some of the most glitchy games in the entire series. The only one that I can think of that's more glitch is being the original Red, Blue, and Yellow. Here's an example on that. On my way to Snow Point City, I was being very explorative and found the TM/HM for rock climb. I was happy about that and went to Snow Point City. Skip forward a bit to when I had to go up Mount Coronet and the game told me to find the TM for rock climb, and that objective stayed there all the way until I caught Dialga. And also, speaking of rock climb, every time you use it in battle, the health bar of the opponent doesn't show until the end of the turn for some weird reason. Where would this rank in my rankings might be a bad question, because I have a very controversial opinion that 3D Pokemon games are better than 2D Pokemon games. But in my opinion, it would probably rank number 10 out of 19. Well, that is all I have to talk about today. Overall, this game has a lot of ups and downs, but I still enjoyed it a lot despite all the bad things I've said about it. But anyways, if you are watching this on Christmas, I hope you'll enjoy playing this game and that you just got for Christmas if you didn't have it already. But anyways, guys, this video is going to be done. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Bye bye.